And we're live. Hello, Esra. How are you? How are you doing? This is our
Hello.
second time trying this. Uh, Guys, we're gonna have some technical difficulties throughout this podcast because there are some invaders. The Wi-Fi is not allowing our wonderful minds to connect with each other. But bear with us, and it's going to be a wonderful conversation. So we left off at the importance. How important is education in Esra's life? Do you want to kind of explore a little bit? And how do you define
Yes,
education before we talk about it?
I think education is for me translating mm, my information to my future actions. Also,
Mm,
learning about how can I gain new skills to be useful for the society.
mm,
Also, learning about society rules of my current environment.
right. And would you say that these skills that you could gain could only be achieved through formal education, such as like going to institution, going to college or university or high school? Do you think that is the only way you could gain skill sets? Because you also brought up the point of like learning societal rules, societal norms, or also learning values from family. Like these things are not gained from, I guess, like so-called formal schooling. So how would you state is the best way of gaining education? Is it just a diverse way, like you just have to gather bits and pieces from all just the experience of life?
Yes, I think structured learning, especially in the universities and schools, make it easier for people who live in the crowded places. Like, I think if the city has a lot of students, it will be hard to educate everyone informally.
Mm-hmm.
I think formal education makes it easier for the government,
Mm.
but there are always other ways to educate themselves informally.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have a very advanced technology.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I can educate myself with online courses from the internet. I think it's very beautiful, and
Yeah.
we are very lucky to have that.
Yeah.
But people should be open minded about it.
Mm. Yeah, I truly do believe, like, my personal take is that universities have still a lot of value because of the accreditation factor. Like, they have the status, and it shows that you are quote unquote educated in the eyes of society, you know? But once people become more open minded that doing a course online is able to produce the same amount of skills, once that could be, challenged, the formal system could be challenged, the status quo, then I think we'll be able to switch over to, a further efficiency, further flexibility, and give even greater and wider access to, the future civilization of the future students. And I think it's truly remarkable, as you stated, like of how beautiful uh, utilizing internet to gain both formal and informal education is, because you could also learn not only skill sets but in terms of informal education. I think of these as like values and traits and customs, languages, all of these things that might not be so common within the traditional classes that you could learn like online, you know. And I think there's a
Yes,
strong incentive for people to create. Yeah, you were gonna say.
but I think also formal education is important too, because
Mm-hmm.
if you get formal education, you can see people around your age and how they are doing with their
Mm.
lives, how they are
Mm.
learning, the competition aspect of it.
I see. So your view, yeah, I do. I definitely do agree. There's a lot of benefits to competition, but do you think that competition within the formal education it's beneficial? Like, do you think that
Yes and no.
yes and no? Okay, let's talk about it.
50-50.
Let's talk about it. What are some of the positives and what are some of the negatives within the competition within formal education?
I think it motivates people to work harder because you
Mm-hmm.
see other people are working hard.
Okay.
Mm, but negative part is that it can be really toxic, especially for the standardized exams.
Mm. especially because these standardized exams, I think it determines, like your trajectory of life. At least in South Korea, there's a thing called sunung, and it determines whether you're going to go to a good university or not. And
Mm.
like people equate that score with you kind of like your worth, like as a
Yes.
human being, instead of the potential and all the various things that makes humans valuable, like an individual valuable. But it's not really accounted
Yes.
for too much. Do you think that there's a healthy way of creating a system where you could only have? I mean, I think the negative aspect of maybe the zero, the zero sum winner take all method could be changed, but I don't think that like the negative aspects of competition could be completely erased. It depends on how you view competition as well, but I think like some people may view negative. I view competition negatively if it only benefits the few. Like if it benefits only winners, and there's always going to be losers, and the losers don't have a chance to become a winner. I think that is a flawed system. I think that everybody should have access as long as they are willing to put in the effort. Like, but
Yes.
I don't know what a perfect. Maybe there could be, we could create a better system, but I wonder how that would look like in creating healthy competition instead of a system where only a few, especially those who have wealth, are able to have more resources, more time to educate their
Yes.
children, etc. So it's like, yeah, standardized exams. It for sure it does display how much you know, but it also there's a lot of different socioeconomic like factors that attribute to a certain score, and I don't think you should be labeled by by just that score. That's just my personal
Also,
take
I
on
think
standardized exams. Mm-hmm.
Also, I think biggest problem is that teachers teach two tests, and it makes
Mm,
the quality of education lower. And also, students learn to test it.
mm. Yeah, we're
So
good.
it's really based on memorizing things.
Yeah,
So I think it's not even critical thinking.
yeah, I agree. I definitely agree that we're creating really good test takers. Really good test takers. And personally, like at least in middle school and high school, like I didn't really see the importance of education. Like although I had the privilege of going to school, I didn't see the importance behind it. It was only like after addiction and voluntarily choosing to, which has been like an eye opener for me. But very recently, I would say like even like 1 2 years around. So it's still very like recent, but without recognizing the importance of education, just just by being going into a system where critical thinking is not really valued as much, where you're just regurgitating information and that's all you're valued upon, like it doesn't give an incentive for like students to why am I doing this. I mean, I feel like a lot of students, they just do it just for survival because they want to make their parents happy, or this is what they have to do. That's the norm that they've been put into place. But I think it's super important that we kind of question like our education system. And of course, like some, if you have a lot of wealth, definitely I think you probably have greater access and students resources. You could really buy a quality of education. But I think it's important to question like the system that we grew up on, and just questioning. I think just questioning is important. Not like, of course, there's going to be some criticism, there's going to be a lot of benefits as well, but I think without questioning, then you're just partaking in it without understanding the some of the beauty or the importance of the system,
Also, I think the positive part is that scores and the results are graded by the machines. So it's very fast, and it costs less than the human part, and also it's fair enough, I think,
I guess.
for the students.
Hmm. But doesn't this depend on so many different factors of like what course are we talking about, like.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, I just talked about in Turkey's system.
I see. How is it? How is the system in Turkey? Like, do you guys have like preschool, kindergarten? Like, is it like primary education and then you go to, like further secondary education? How does it work? I'm not even sure if I understand my education system now. I'm asking this question.
Yeah, it's very similar to Western countries, but I think the different part is that we graduate from high school at the age of 18, and then we take the university entrance exam.
Mm.
But you can have another chances if you don't get the score you wanted. So you can retake it again and again until you, I think, maybe satisfied with your results.
I see.
And also, this exam requires 4 years of school program, which is high school program. For example, I'm a math and natural science student, so I'm responsible for math, physics, and chemistry, biology, and etc. So mostly I study this, but also I study literature and religion, philosophy. These are also things we are questioning during the exam.
Oh wow! So it's such a broad
Yeah.
subject-based exam. Yeah,
Yeah, it happens
Mhm.
once in a year. Also, it's 2 days exam. First day is a little bit different than the second day.
Yeah, that reminds me.
It takes
Uh-huh.
3 hours.
3 hours?
Each one takes, yes.
Wait, is it 3 hours per day or 3 hours per subject?
Yes. No, 3 hours per day.
Oh, okay. I was thinking 3 hours per project per subject. I was like, wow, that's one long exam. Yeah, that reminds me
But
of.
all of this,
Yeah.
all of this is tests, not the essays. We don't write essays.
I see. What type of students or what field does essays?
No one actually. Every student in the country takes the exam.
Oh, I see.
So the competition is very high. Like every year, 4 million students take the exam.
4 million?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that's intense. That reminds me of South Korea. Like South Korea, I think has a very very similar system. I was learning a little bit about the recruiting process for a conglomerate called Samsung. Samsung, if you guys don't know, it's like a giant tech company in South Korea, which accounts for like 20% of the entire GDP. So they hold a lot of influence. And if it's kind of like a high status game that you could play if you state that, oh, I work for Samsung. It's kind of like working at Fang in America. And Fang is Facebook, Apple. Actually, I'm not sure if I know all of it, but N is Netflix and then Google. I think I'm Facebook as well. I think I mentioned Facebook, but it's like working. Samsung is like, I think same analogy. And I looked up how many people like how many people recruit every single year. It's kind of like the same process as getting into university. It's a 1 year process. It's not like a rolling period where we're constantly looking for new hires. So it's 1 year, and there's 500,000 people every single year just for Samsung, and that's intense. But 4 million, that's also crazy. That's a large amount of numbers, and there's limited spots.
Yeah.
It's a zero sum game that you're essentially playing. I feel like.
Also, students want to study in the capital city, also other big cities.
Why?
So
is it for the opportunities, the connections? What is
yes.
it?
We think that quality of the education is higher in the capital and other bigger cities.
So there's a natural flock and demand to, for going to a major city. Do you know anything about like within the people who are graduating from the major city? Do they usually stay in Turkey, or they're like, oh no, I'm going to a Western country. I'm chasing the bag. Like how is it?
I think currently people really want to work in the other cities, especially more developed countries. But there are also some people really love the nation and their families, I think. So they think that if they go to the other countries,
Mm-hmm.
the other people, maybe their kids, will suffer from
Mm-hmm.
that system.
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of want to change the system,
Mm.
so some of them stays.
But
But I
majority.
think it's very
Mm,
important.
how, yeah, it is important, of course, like to I think a lot of people actually they make a lot of money from I think I've heard this from India where these people like a lot of smart engineers they come to America or Europe and then they get make big salaries and then they give back to their community going back to their roots.
Mhm.
I think that's quite amazing and beautiful, but I mean, well, for your country, like within Turkey, how big is it? What do you think is like if you could, from your personal experiences, what would you say like the range is? Like out of 10 people, you like how many people do you think?
Maybe it depends on the age too, because
Mm,
my younger friends
mm,
tend to wanting to go to the other countries more.
mm,
I heard it a lot of I heard it from my younger friends more.
mm. But I heard Turkey is also one of the most like visited tourist places. Is it like
Yes,
people really don't people don't I mean
45 million, I guess, in
for
1 year.
45
Tourists.
million tourists. That's a lot. I think
Yeah.
I think no, but I think US is uh US is pretty up. I'm pretty sure US is the most visited country I think as well. And we're able to extract a lot of resources from the tourist. Uh I looked at the like a chart of how much US makes compared to like other countries from the tourist. It precedes so many so many other countries like including France, Germany, I forgot what other countries. That's that's all I can recall. But do you think it is a big problem? Like, what would you say is like the biggest problem in terms of education within Turkey?
I think uncertainty part,
Uncertainty.
because
Mm.
mm, last year exam was very easy, but in the past it was so hard.
Mm-hmm.
So students always think that how I'm gonna pass that, because it's not certain thing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think sometimes I think that we are responsible for a very wide school program, and I hear that a lot. That other countries have lesser school program than Turkish students.
Lesser program.
For
Uh,
example, I heard that some university students learn the things we learned in high school.
oh, I see. I see. So the level of the skill set is a little bit different, you would say, or the level of competition is different.
Both of them, yes.
Both of them. Mm, I see.
But I think some of the fields are very good in terms of education. For example, healthcare. So maybe that's why a lot of students want to become doctors, because they know that healthcare education is a little bit better than other education. Because when students want to become engineers, they always think that, oh, I have to study in the bigger city of engineering school.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't always say that for medical schools.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a big problem if you study medical school in smaller cities.
Oh, I see, I see. So there's more flexibility, which gives incentive for students.
Yes.
Also, like hearing like your experience, it also makes me appreciate how adaptable humans are. Like how adaptable to the uncertainty. Despite that, like they're still able to adapt to the rules and designs of the game. You just it got harder.
Yes.
Okay, I guess this is what it is. Time to sit down, put in work. It's like wow, like yeah, students are really. I really do hope society does value students. Uh, I'm not really sure how important. Like I think the people who have a lot of power like put into students and the importance of education. But I truly think education is the biggest factor in terms of allowing for social mobility. So if you start out in a very poor class system, then education is the greatest way of achieving getting wealthy or getting out of a state that you don't really like, you can't really accept. But yeah, education is essential, and
Mm.
it's something that I think everybody needs to appreciate. But that can't be forced. It can't be forced. It has to be voluntary. Like I'm pretty sure Mr.
Yeah.
Gandhi has stated this before, which is like a person, like when the person is ready, the teacher arrives, and something along those lines. And like that quote resonated with me like deeply because I was not ready to receive because I didn't see the importance. But it's only after I recognized where I was and wanting to change to start to appreciate the fortunes that was provided and the opportunities. Because without that, then I no matter what teacher, no matter what type of information where I'm getting it from, I don't value it. But it's once my ears are truly open, that's when the teacher comes in, as in all of the information. It means something to you. Yeah,
Yes.
that's
I
really.
think also
Mm.
in terms of world peace, education is very important for that topic. So
Mm.
because it brings us hope and confidence between people.
Mm.
So yeah, I think it's very important.
How do you think it provides confidence within people?
Because
Mm-hmm.
when you start to educate yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you're more open-minded about other people's perspectives.
Mm.
So you can also learn from other people too, not only from your teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You are aware of that. It's not matter of status or age. You can always learn from other people.
Mm. Yeah, it's a really good point. All right, let's talk about a little touchy subject about the society's view of incarceration.
Yeah.
Do you wanna talk a little about the incarceration?
Yeah, sure. I think people really fear approaching these people
Mm-hmm.
because maybe they think that it's not valuable enough to spend time understanding them, maybe talking to them.
Mm.
And I think that it creates a big gap, communication gap, and also it creates a big stigma. And I think that we internalize this stigma a lot.
What can you describe some of the stigmas of people who
Yeah,
are
sure.
incarcerated?
Actually, I have a personal story.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So my father actually in the prison right now because of a political situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I have experienced some of the stigma throughout the past 6 years, and I realized that people people got away from you when you say that you're children of a prisoner. it's very interesting because it's not actually your fault at all. So it was, I think, very shocking for me at the beginning, and also I didn't mind sharing it or keeping it secret, but sometimes it was really hard for me because once in a month I would go to visit my father. So I didn't go to school because it occurred during the school time. So the other day, my teachers and classmates would ask me, "Where were you yesterday?" Something like this. And I always lied because I didn't want to talk about this topic. But the problem is that I really wanted honesty with communicating others. And of course, it was a big problem because it's opposite of my value. So um, I think that people should be able to talk about this topic more. But I also want to understand them too. Maybe they think that these children are affected by their parents because of their environments, and maybe they think that their environment affects kids' development. So I'm not sure. I'm still experiencing it.
Yeah, I bet. I think it's completely valid. Like, I think if given the same circumstance, I would have lied the heck out of everything. I would say, "Oh no, my dad's doing really well, doing really well." I would yeah, I would. I remember like my it's like when we first came to America, and I would live with like different host families. I didn't have my parents like with me, and they would see like some of my student just school friends would say like, "Hey, I would use my English name. So, hey, David, you don't have. Why is your parents white? Because I had like host families that were white, and I was like, oh, it's like my uncle or aunt. Like I would use like their like my cousins or something because I was so like ashamed. Like those small things, and all you want as a child is like being normal. You don't want to be ever like you're not part of the group. I think every kid all they want is to be normal, and it's really a struggle of fitting in because we want to be validated, and at times we really don't know what is right and wrong. Like what we just want to be a part of a group. I feel like as a kid, the tribe mentality is super strong. But I
Yeah,
think
also these kids of the prisoners, they are not systematically
yeah.
identified, so it causes a very bad situation because these families normally don't have incomes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that local authorities
Mm-hmm.
should arrange some meetings with the courts so they can get information about the prison's child,
Mm.
and maybe they can make arrangement with the school about the scholarships.
Mm.
Because I was very lucky because my mother was working at that time. I also had scholarship, so we struggled, but not with comparable with other kids.
Mm-hmm.
But because I also saw that from my friends
Mm-hmm.
that it was very hard for them because the parents is providing the income and that becomes zero for family.
Wait, sorry, the internet kind of broke. You stated the parents provide the income, and then we there was a delay. What did you say? Uh huh.
Then it becomes zero, so you don't have any income at all, and also you're so young that you can't work legally.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time you need scholarship, and if you want to get a scholarship you have to tell about your situation to the school and the other institutional programs so you can get a scholarship. But I think that a lot of kids really feel shameful about this topic, and they maybe prefer to keep it for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And also probably like the fear of stigma and like the consequences that they probably perceive. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'm not really too competent in the subject of incarceration, but I know that like in America that there is some biases and prejudices that people hold with people of POC, like people of color, who you know who had maybe their parents in or family within in incarceration, and there still is like they're often labeled as part of a gang member or just violent, even though they're not. It's just like oh, there is a lot of prejudices that goes along with it, and I think it's because people do that in part of better. They like things when it's black and white, when it's very clear, and they like understanding the world, and they if they don't understand, they make stories up, and it just seems like logical for them, which is not true. But I think it does require a lot of open mindedness from people, and it asks people to recognize that if you were born in the same environment and circumstances, you would also want some assistance, and it's completely necessary. I just don't know like of how big of an impact like where I think I'd probably have to learn more about the history of incarceration and how to correct the system of the continual, I guess, like de facto segregation, kind of, and also to alleviate, like, give incentives to especially the people who are actually hurt, which are the innocent children who, who just want the best, who just want to, who probably really does want the best.
I also recognize that
Yeah.
extended family, not also the nuclear family, but the extended family is so important because they actually really provide love for their children and they support it. And I was really lucky for that. Also from my friends too. I think that they really love me no matter what, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm glad you have a loving group of individuals. Like it's almost like a
Yes.
support group that that wants the best for you. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. And would you state that, like, do you hold any resentment or any animosity towards your father for some of the pains that you have gone through?
At first, um, I was, I wasn't conscious at all because I was really young. I was, I think, 13 years old at that time. So I couldn't understand what is political issue.
Yeah.
Also, the thing is that I didn't have time until this day to have conversation about that with my father. So I hope to have a conversation with my father in the future about this situation, so I can better understand what happened, what really happened.
Yeah, you're just still going through it as we speak. You're experiencing, like, your day to day is, it may
Yes.
be affected or it may not affect it. But it seems like you have a very, like, positive outlook and, like, you know what, these are what it is, and I'm trying to make the best out of it. Which,
because I think that I was lucky to. I think 13 is the age that we are able to know other people behaviors, and I was able to, I think, get a know to my father at that time. So I knew that he was not a bad person with his behaviors to our family and also to other people in our environment. So I think I still love him very, very much.
okay.
Yeah.
And
But there are some parts that needs to be clarified. I hope to learn about that in the future.
Do you know the crime that he has partook upon? Because I don't really know how, like, what a political crime is really. Like, I'm still, I don't know what that entails. Is it like?
So he was a history teacher at the academy, and in 2016 in Turkey we had a coup attempt, but it didn't occur. So it was a failure, of course. And then government, of course, made a lot of research about people, and they found some of the workplaces are related to them. So they found that, and my father's not his own workplace, but the workplace he worked at that time was related to that. But I'm not sure. I just really want to learn about that. But I think this is a little bit one-sided because it's something political and related to government. So I think it will be hard to find some resources provide information about this topic.
But are there, like, recorded history of, like, the coup and the the reasons why? Have you looked into the significance, the motives behind the coup?
So I'm not really sure because he was teacher. I don't know how this is related to that.
Yeah, I mean,
so
right.
I don't.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. It's like, oh, you work in that firm, that company. Oh yeah, you guys are related, aren't you? Let's get the whole crew up in here, and then just put them in prison. not to make a joke out of it, but it's just that I mean, listening to your story, that's how it seems to me. Um, but yeah, okay. How would you think, like, if you could create? Do you do you think that laws that are stricter is better for society, or do you think that less stringent rules are better for society? So let's give you the current situation. Let's say that the government decides to take a lighter approach for the law, and your dad gets a notice. I mean, of course, like there needs to be like investigation and all that process, but let's say it's not required for him to be imprisoned. Okay.
Mm.
Well, actually, I don't know. I feel like this is a bad example because I don't know like what's going on. Let's just say let's just talk about like, do you think more laws is better, or more stricter laws are better for society?
I don't think so. I
Mm.
think laws are essential for a government, but I think the important part is how do you implement it and how people understand it.
Mm-hmm.
In For example, there's a teacher saying that don't speak in the class, and
Okay.
students seems to be they don't speak, but
Mm.
actually they can speak with writing to the notes, and teacher will think that oh they understood me and they are not talking in the class.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in the same way people actually can do illegal things if you make the law stricter. So I think it won't work out.
Mm.
Also because we have seen that
Mm-hmm.
in the history, a lot of civilizations went
Mm-hmm.
through that, and it didn't work from them too.
Mm. Well, what do you think is like? Do you think there's a balancing point of just the right amount of strictness where people are willing to tolerate?
I think it's balance is freedom, of course.
Mm.
For example, if an artist wants to express themselves
Mm-hmm.
and she or he thinks that there is some bans or some things makes them stop from making their art,
Mm-hmm.
of course this affects their freedom, and also, of course it is stricter law.
Mm-hmm.
So K point, I think freedom.
Mm-hmm. But do you think any system or any government are able to design a system where every single freedom is met?
I don't think so. Maybe not right now, but
Not right now.
I'm hopeful about it.
Mm.
Maybe in the future we'll be able to
Why not
do
now?
that, because we have a lot of differences and
Mm.
also a lot of problems about it.
Mm.
So I think it will take some time
Mm-hmm.
and also investments on that situation.
Mm. Yeah, I wonder like if like let's just a thought experiment. Let's say, sorry, you want a ticket to Mars, okay? And we're going to Mars, and you could bring a couple of people, and you could create a civilization. You are, let's say, the supreme dictator. You're the pioneer of Mars, and you get
Of
to
course.
create. Of course, what do you? Whoa, seems like there's some yearning for power inside you. No, and you
Yes.
you grab yeah, okay. You're no shit. You're unapologetic about it. You're like, yeah, I want power. Um, so you have 100 people and you're on Mars, and you have to create the regulations. Like you have to create the first like constitution. How would you go about that process? Would you consult like I, it's like this thought experiment makes me also appreciate like how remarkable that we have a functioning system, that it has not crumbled down. You know what I mean? Of like bootstrapping from zero to something like a governing system is, for me, seems so complex. And I think that's why there's importance to politics, government, and laws which help govern and maintain peace and stability, providing some security. Um, how would you go about it? Would you carry on? What type of good elements of maybe the Turkish government or the laws would you take into a new civilization, yeah, a new planet?
I think I will take the part of Turkish culture and government that we love our nation and flag so much that we can work so hard for it.
Mm,
So that part, I could take that.
yeah. So
Also,
I was gonna say
I
you would
could take.
take the Turkey flag and you would stick it on Mars. We love Turkey so much. We're yeah. Let's base it off Turkey. Go ahead.
I think I would also choose
Mm.
very skilled people with high skills because maybe they will have to be their own farmers
Right.
and maybe hairdressers and etc.
Okay, so let's say you could choose the population, like the demographics and the specialization of these 100 people. So give me like what percentage, like 10 people would be doing what. If you could choose, okay, let's say 10 people. You could bring only 10 people. We're gonna go even smaller. Out of these 10 people, how many people would be what? Like what would they be specialized in? Who are the 10 people that you're picking?
I think I will definitely take some scientists.
So how many out of these 10 people?
Artists. 4 maybe, 4 scientists.
4 scientists? Okay. Oh, that's 40. Okay.
Yes.
40%. Okay. What else? You said some artists.
Yes, I think one artist.
What is this difference in values? Okay. We got one artist. They'll be painting on the side while the scientist does the practical, the grunt work. Okay. Let's continue. So we have one artist.
No, I really love arts, but
yeah,
I think that
the practical
we're
aspects.
doing this structure from the
yeah. I understand. But it's kind of funny to visualize. Yeah. Okay. So we have four. we have four scientists, one artist. Okay, and then we have how many people? We have 5 people left.
I think one economist because we definitely will need something like money
Right.
or another currency.
Okay.
I guess we have three people right now. Probably we will need some laws.
You're gonna bring a person with all the love, like.
No laws.
Oh, I thought you said we need some love up in there. Like it's essential. Yeah, I do think so. Did you say Laos? Lows? What did you say? What was the word?
Yes.
What's the word?
Like cards because laws should be provided so
laws can like lawyers. Lawyers.
Yes.
Okay. So we have 4 scientists, 1 painter, 1 economist, 1 lawyer. Okay.
No, I didn't mention about the painter. Maybe they are.
Oh, we don't need the painter.
No.
I'm joking.
I mean artists.
Yeah.
But these artists should have skills that he or she can dance, also sing, also do painting.
Aren't you asking for a little too much from this one artist? But
no.
This artist should be able to do ballerina, should be doing the tango, the salsa. It's a mandatory standard over here. If we can't do this, we don't need this one person. We need more scientists up in here. Okay, so we have 3 more spots. Who are the other 3 people? What are the specialization? What are their specializations?
We definitely need agriculture also about the climate change.
Right.
But I'm not sure.
You're gonna bring Greta
about
Thunberg?
The climate because we'll be in the Mars.
Yes.
So I think we shouldn't.
But we've seen you eat farmers, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, so let's have. Okay, are you stating we need 1 farmer?
Yes, but also he or she should be aware of the climate change.
Okay, yeah, we're demanding quite a lot from these people. Okay, um, okay, so we could bring Greta Thunberg. I'm pretty sure. I think she's very a strong proponent of climate change, and I feel like she would know some farming. I think for some reason I feel like she has this magical ability of growing crops from all the wonderful talk that she always gives. Actually, I don't really know much. Hmm.
Also, also we need one teacher.
Okay, we need one teacher. Okay, so that's nine. Okay, on how about the last person? Who would you bring?
Hmm. Hmm. There are a lot of things I can't choose at all.
We just need one more.
There are a lot of there are a lot of fields needs
Hmm.
to be come with us to the Mars.
Hmm.
What about you? You choose the one.
The last one, I think I was thinking comedian. You definitely need someone like if all hell goes wrong, somehow this this climate activist and also farmer is like, oh guys, no water today, and then the comedian comes by and then just wraps it up. You know, just making a fun of the mess of the whole situation. I think that would be just a like what's it called spicing on the cake. I don't think that's the right phrase. But like it's just yeah. I think it's something related with I don't know, just society, just something that could tie up.
Social science.
Yeah. Some I feel like that would be super important. You know, of course like we need scientists. We need like to actually create an infrastructure to create a system. But doesn't this exercise also like show you how important, like how complex our world that we live in is in so many different fields, so many wonderful people that have created like
Yes.
this precious time that we're currently living in. It's incredible, and how it all functions. I think it's quite remarkable. Yeah, but yeah, I like the 10 the 10 picks. It's pretty good. Where were we going with this? Okay, yeah. So creating like a perfect, like an ideal government for these type of people, and how would you let them govern themselves? Let's say you were the leader of the pack. Would you how would you structure their government? These 10
I
people.
definitely value democracy. So
Mm.
first one is democracy.
Mm-hmm.
About the economy, I think it would be something like contemporary capitalism.
Mm. What's that?
Because
What's contemporary capitalism?
I'm not sure because I don't study economics, but
Right.
but I think
I should be the one.
it's
I
something
should.
like
Uh-huh. I should, but I've never heard of the word like contemporary and capitalism together.
maybe
Uh-huh.
that's how I translate it to the
Oh, I
English.
see. I see. Yeah.
I think
You're like Jin. You should know what he's talking about. Yeah. Okay. So.
I think it's something between socialism and capitalism.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
um,
Gotcha. A
so
mixture of
I
the
think
two.
it requires some changes from the government on
Mm-hmm.
the capitalism. So does not only dependent on the private institutions or
Mm-hmm.
corporations.
Mm-hmm. I see. So it's a mix between the I guess trying to
Yes,
extract the good sides of capitalism and socialism. Mm.
but also we could do that from the scratch too, because I think that capitalism has really bad problems.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm, for example, I really don't like that big fish eats the little fish
Mm.
mindset.
Mm.
So it could be a problem.
Can you describe a little about the big fish eating the little fish mindset? Are you talking about the winner take all?
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
I see. Yeah, it's super prevalent, and I think given the time component of time, this is something I'm having like trouble understanding. Not understanding is just like how like how society is going to bear the inequality problem, because wealth compounds over time, like generation, like we've heard of generational wealth, and the compounding element, it allows for more capital, it creates more capital, and based upon that like logic, given enough time, the people who have are going to it's going to increase, like the disparities between the top 1% and the top 1% is like night and day. We might think that top 1% and the rest of the people, it's huge, but there's even disparities within the top 1% of the top 1%, which just shows the amount of inequalities that is prevalent within the system. But it's just like I don't know if like what's the right way of distributing resources equally. But I think that is a problem that we'll have to face, and it requires a lot of leadership and some great I don't know, some great thinking, I guess, of creative ways of distributing properly and hopefully benefiting like the right values. But even that aspect, I'm just like, who am I to choose like what values? It's like who. It's such a complex issue of how you find the right method of distributing resources. That's just a I think that's just an inherent flaw within that, which is built in. But yeah, I think that's the biggest problem I think I have with capitalism. But maybe something that incorporates the right distribution, that would be the ideal, like or getting a step closer to the ideal. But
But don't you think that
mhm.
no corruption mentality is a little bit utopic? So there will be
Yeah,
always
of
people
course, there will
who
always be.
controls these resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we also have to take that into consideration. But I think as long as there must be an incentive mechanism where corruption could be reduced or alleviated. For example, I was reading like research papers about how to like anti-corruption experiments, and one of the ways that like these scholars have created was doing a really heavy auditing process. And people are generally good, but they're even better when people are watching. That social pressure element is so important, in terms of corruption. So if there's somehow a mechanism that could be created where good actions or good faith actions are more applauded and the bad actors are could be reduced, I think isn't that a system worth like fighting and thinking like working for? I definitely do think so, because it affects every single human
Yes.
being within society. But yeah, I think.
Yes, also important thing is that
Mm-hmm.
I think we should remember some moral values of our mm, made by our ancestor with huge sacrifices,
Yeah,
like
so true.
mm, so I think about the economic inequalities. mm, Rich people should be more aware of that.
Mm.
Mm, they're also responsible for the society. So I think giving it back to society is really important.
Mm. Giving back to society is really important. And you brought up
With maybe
mm-hmm. Go ahead.
with maybe structuring new schools, institutions, or science stations, or maybe space station. It will be really great to have that if someone is millionaire, billionaire.
Mm-hmm. Right. But I also think about like in terms of like the wants and needs of like so many different people. I think like the general tendency is we do things if the benefits outweigh the cost. But if you do have so much capital, then you could make that benefit to cost. It doesn't apply to you really, right? Because you could still bear the cost and you could be okay. But you should like something about climate change is that why we're able to bear some of like the carbon emission is that still you were able to companies and corporations are able to gain more benefits despite the cost. They're able to um, reap the rent. They're able to collect rents from the pollution, and they don't really. It doesn't. The system doesn't really care about the waste, the pollution that is created. And
Yes, of course.
yeah, and I just wonder like whether like in terms of like having creating all these wants and desires met, whether we have enough people or whether I don't know. I feel like this is like I don't have any say in like how resources are utilized, but I think it's important to just like talk about where we're headed, where we're headed. I kind of lost my train of thought of uh, I forgot where we were going.
We were talking about utopian world,
Yeah,
utopian
no,
government.
before you were about to give an example, and I was gonna add on to that. You were giving an example,
Mm.
and I forgot what this example was about. Mm. Of a utopian world. Would you like to live in a utopia?
Yes,
Why?
it seems better to me.
Do you, so how do you define a utopia?
I think utopia is something we're looking for the best. Of course,
Mm.
there is no best, there is no perfect government or perfect world, but this is the highest level of what we can create.
Mm-hmm.
So that's utopia for me.
I see. So would would you state that utopia is something like living in perfection?
Yes.
And don't you think that every single human being desires and constantly pursues their own ideals of perfection?
Yes, but maybe because it's not collective. Maybe it's because and maybe that's why it doesn't create utopian world we always wanted.
So the utopia can never be achieved because people have different collective experiences of what their ideal should look like because people have different desires and interests. Mm.
Yes, I think so.
Wow. And do you think that it's possible that humans could ever come to a collective interest?
I think it depends on our connections. If we can break the walls, because when we meet new people, we definitely build some walls
Mm.
between them and each others. So I think if we get to that point of social connections, maybe we can.
Mm.
Because I think people break that wall with making friends, and it allows them to better understand their perspectives. Because when you don't know someone, you don't care about their opinion at all.
Mm.
And maybe that's the biggest problem of why we don't have utopia right now.
Mm. So the lack of care, then what do humans
Yes.
care? What do you think that that the majority of people care about? Themselves, their needs and wants? But what are their needs and wants? Like what are their wants, do you think?
Of course, providing for their families,
Right?
also happiness, a very classic ones.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think that there are some people very, they have really big purposes and goals. So I can say that all people
Right.
desire for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe majority desires for themselves.
Mm. Yeah. So it's like your way of kind of like understanding the world, which is like majority of people. Yeah, it's like every interaction is so different. Humans are so unique in their own sense in terms of their perspective, their outlooks in life. It's truly a wonder. It really is. But I think it's so important to recognize that like by learning about a little about history, I'm beginning to realize how important consciousness is. Like that consciousness it's a recent phenomenon, and that we're developing so quickly. It seems like even like I was talking with Nat, I'm talking about like like how like she grew up with these Nintendo 64s, and from smartphones to smart like not no from flip phones to smartphones within just a couple of decades, and we just are accustomed. We're so adaptable. Going back to how adaptable we are. We're not really meant to sit for hours and hours just studying. That we're physically not built for that, but we're able to. We can, and it just makes me like recognize like yeah, we're doing all of this, but where where are we headed? Are we headed in the right direction? And I don't think anybody has a right answer, um, unless like they, of course, their metrics is like, oh yeah, we want better efficiency, we want better access to food. All of those things are essential, and those things are very worthy. But in terms of like where are we headed in the grand scheme of things, of a civilization that we want to live in, we want our future generation, our future selves to live in, kind of. I think those are also very important questions as we live on our daily lives and our daily struggles and our ambitions. Those things are super important to talk about. Yeah. Oh, I'm still a little butthurt because I can't figure out what I was trying to ask, because I felt like I gave a lot of importance to. But we could talk a little bit about if you don't mind, about, let's say, like the cultural differences. You kind of talked about that we have these barriers within even borders. A border is just a direct representation. Is like that this is unsafe. You know what I mean? It has a
Mm.
strong symbolism, and I think the barriers that we set in our daily lives with strangers, with whoever we meet, there are these barriers that we have set in stone. How do you think? How do you think? What do you think about these differences with the culture differences, the different races? Do you think that it's an issue within within Turkey or within your experience?
I think we have very unique culture because
Mm-hmm.
we are on the middle of East and West. So people are very different because some of them are very traditionalist and some of them are very secular and modern.
Mm-hmm.
In the same class, you can meet some people who are very religious, but also people who really care about secular and materialistic things. So I think it's very unique.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, But in terms of races, I think we don't see different races in day-to-day life in terms of different lookings. Yes, of course, we have a lot of different races in Turkey,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the 70% of Turkey are
Mm-hmm.
Turks,
Mm-hmm.
Turkish people. But other people don't look like they're from other races. We
Mm-hmm.
actually look very similar to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Also because mm, from the Ottoman Empire, we had different people from the very white countries,
Mm-hmm.
and they also married to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So genetically, we have very different lookings in the between Turkish people too. So I think it's hard to distinguish people from the different races in day-to-day life.
Well, can you repeat the last part? It's hard to distance yourself from different races.
Distinguish,
Distinguish.
like recognize
It's hard to
others.
distinguish people from different races because it's everyone's similar.
Kind of we look similar, and also we have whites, like we see blonde people or red people, and also white people. I think it's because of that. Mm, yes, of course, it makes cultural diversity, but personally, I didn't experience any racism because of course I look like Turk
I
and
see.
I always lived in here.
Yeah. But have you ever then seen someone who did not fit, the Turkish uh, norm? Has there any been one of those instances where you've met people that weren't like of the same culture or race? And
So between same race.
no,
So
just like
do you
different.
ask that?
Are you stating like Turkey is very racially diverse? I'm trying to understand.
Yes.
It's very racially diverse.
Yes.
Oh, so there is no
Hmm.
like, but do you think there is any racism that occurs in Turkey?
I would be lying if I said no.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it also depends on your social status. Like if you came to here under the name of tourists, or if you came here under the name of immigrants, I think people look at it differently, just like the other countries.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to see. So if I was a tourist and I came to Turkey,
Hmm. Hmm.
how would you guys view me?
Mm, I think I would definitely think that you'll be able to bring some money, some dollars to us, to our economy. But I think it started after our economic situation. I think people mm, were were friendly to all immigrants, but after our economic situation get worsened, people kind of, I don't know. I think they think that immigrants are a big part of our economic problems right now, and I think it creates some hate.
Mm,
But I've never seen like a big violation situation in day-to-day life to
right.
a immigrant or
I
a
see.
different race.
I see. That's so fascinating to hear about the hostility between immigrants because it affects like I don't know like I guess it affects it contributes to further competition which people really don't like, huh? Yeah, I'm assuming that's the biggest problem in terms of economically speaking, right?
Yes,
Yeah, that
but
is.
I would say that people are really caring about each other. Like in Turkey, it can be hard to meet new people in the first time, but people are really connected to each other after they meet. Like sometimes I think that my friends are really my siblings. We are really close because um, in terms of how we greet each other or how we behave to each other, respect also is a mm, big key to this.
Mm-hmm.
I think we culturally respect other people a lot, also to the elderly people.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's how we raised by our parents. For example, when I use the public buses,
Mm-hmm.
I always see that young people give their seats to elder people,
Yeah.
and every time it fascinates me
Why does that fascinate you?
because it means that they really care about them.
Mm.
Because let's say that you just came from your work, you're very tired. It's the end of the day, maybe it's 8 a.m. and you're dying because you're so tired, and
Mm-hmm.
you just find a seat and oh, I'm so comfortable right now. I will just go to my home. But then an elderly people comes to the bus,
Mm.
and you think that oh, yeah, I have to respect them, so you give your seat to
Mm-hmm.
them.
Do you think we would consider that like informal education, right? Something that you learn,
Mm-hmm.
like a value that you learn from maybe as you're a child, maybe your parents taught you that, or just out of your own moral compass, you're like, oh, this is right for me. I shall do the same for my elders. That respect element,
Mm-hmm.
I think, is very strong also in like yeah, in South Korea as well. I'm not sure in America whether that is normal. Like I'm not sure. I feel like over here it's very individualistic centered. Like
Mm.
it's like you're out for yourself. At least in the sense of like when I use public transportation, I don't I don't really view that much. And also, I'm not sure.
Mm.
It's just a little different for me. But in
Yeah,
terms,
yeah, we can say that Turkey has collective culture.
mm, mm, yeah, and that's something I guess like that you could take pride upon, like within Turkey, right? I
Yes, of course, but I think it also has some negative parts too. Like if you are very individualistic person,
mm,
it can look a little bit different to people. Let's say that you're wearing very flashy clothes,
mm,
very different colored clothes,
mm,
and you're walking on the street.
mm.
It can be look very different to people.
Oh, I see. Because you guys all hold like a collective culture of like being modest, or modesty is an important value.
No, I wouldn't say that
Oh,
because
mm,
um, Turkey has a lot of different opinions
right,
people.
right,
So
right.
I have a lot of friends who are actually atheists, so they don't believe in God or religion. Mm. So yeah, I think I wouldn't generalize people like
You're
that.
right, right. Yeah, I was just wondering like how uh, you guys would perceive like super flashy people, but I guess it depends. You can't just generalize that humans are like, oh yes, we are very modest. That is against what our nation does. Yeah, I don't think yeah, I don't think Turkey's like that. Um, yeah, very complex. But you, now that we're talking about the subject of religion, I kind of want to ask, how what's the beauty behind religion in your point of view? First off, can you share a
Mm,
little bit about your religion?
yeah, of course. I think, of course, I was informed about Islam because of my environment
Mm,
and when I was born.
mm,
But when I was like 16,
mm,
I really questioned myself and I was really honest with myself and vulnerable with myself about who I want to become and um, can I live my life without religion?
mm,
And I was sure that I believe in God,
mm,
but at that time I was not sure about the religion.
mm,
But after some questioning myself
mm,
and after reading a lot of resources,
mm,
I agreed on that I need religion in my life.
mm. What was that factor? It's like I need religion in my life.
Because I think that I wouldn't be disciplined
Mm.
without religion.
Would you say you use religion as a self-serving basis?
Not just that, but it can be a little part of
Mm, I see.
it. Can be a little part of it.
Okay, and let's continue about the some of
Mhm.
the importance of discipline that religion provides. Can you describe a little bit about the discipline? I know Ramadan is a something that you talked about before. Can you describe some of the disciplinary actions and rituals?
Yeah, first we have daily prayers. Also, it comes from my name meaning. So my name is Esra. It's an Arabic word, and it means walking in the night. But also, it has a story of miracle. I think it can take some time, but is that okay if I?
Yeah, of course, of course.
So this story tells about the Prophet Muhammad,
Uh huh.
peace be upon him. Uh, when when he became prophet,
Uh
it
huh.
was a hard time for the Muslims in the Mecca because at that time people living in the Mecca didn't want to embrace the Islam because
Mm-hmm.
they were comfortable about their maybe their political
Mm-hmm.
um, things like and then at that time the prophet also lost her wife and his I just use English very bad. His wife,
Yeah, yeah. He has
his
one
wife
wife,
and
right?
his uncle.
Uh huh.
At that time, he had one wife, yes,
Okay.
and also his uncle. So it was a hard time for him. And one night, and I think people believe like that. I
Uh-huh.
also believe in that.
Uh-huh.
God gives him something, a little trouble.
Okay.
So the prophet,
Uh-huh.
is that really different for you, or have you ever heard that?
No, I don't think so. I'm trying to. I'm because I grew up like Christian, like hearing Christian stories, and so this is like I've heard about Prophet Muhammad, and I know there was like a uproar, but I forgot the whole story. So it's like I'm trying to recall my information. So let me get this straight. So there's I got kind of
No,
lost.
the story didn't end at all.
Okay, but I know, but so we have Prophet Muhammad. He has a wife, and we have his uncle, and he also has a wife.
No,
Oh
no, no,
no,
no.
no, no.
I was trying to say that it was a hard time for him because he lost his wife and uncle at very
Oh,
similar time.
I see it. I see. Yeah, I'm making up stories in my mind. Okay, okay. Let's continue.
So,
Okay.
so he gifted by a travel, and that travel he transported with an animal
Uh huh.
to from Mecca to the Kudus,
Uh huh.
and during that journey he met some other prophets.
Uh huh.
And also some people believe that he saw a little bit of the hell and also a little bit of the heaven.
Mm.
And then there was also that time this prayers decided. So after that journey, the daily prayers were decided, and the whole journey's name is my name.
Oh, what? That's pretty cool. So
Yes.
that whole journey of Mr. Prophet Muhammad losing his wife and uncle, and that God told him to start a journey, right?
Yes.
And on an animal, and along this journey he met different prophets, and
Yes.
this whole collective process is called Esra.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty yeah. That must be you must feel super powerful. That's pretty cool. Yeah, my English name David is based upon the story of David and Goliath. Have you heard about it? A little wimpy little boy, but very you can't. He's the underdog. He has a what's it called a slingshot, and he defeats this giant Goliath, and that's the whole like story of David and Goliath. It's a very common name.
Actually, there are a lot of similar things. David is Davut in Islam. Also, there are other names like Eva is Hawa, and also Mary is Maryam. So stories are very similar.
Yeah, that's so cool. I feel like I've heard that story of Prophet Muhammad in the birth of Jesus story. It's like
No.
it's not because they're looking at the stars. Wow, it's super shiny. That must mean something. And then they brought like incense. Oh my gosh, my sincere apologies to all the Christians, but the there was incense, Mariah. I don't know. There was like three gifts that they have brought, and it seems like that journey of like going with camels and the three kings. It's a little bit. I don't know. I thought it was a little bit similar, but probably.
There are a big time gap between the Prophet Isa, which is Jesus. So you guys call him Jesus, and we call him Prophet Isa.
Oh, so the stories are correlated?
No. When Jesus lived, it was very back then from the prophet. So believe that the prophet is the last one, and Prophet Muhammad is the last one. But we also believe in other prophets like Jesus and Musa. It's different for you.
I see. I'm getting educated. What would you say some of like the okay some of the disciplinary actions and rituals are within Muslim?
So yeah, that story being said, we have daily prayers, and it's 5 times in a day.
Right,
Morning.
I remember this. Don't you guys have to face somewhere? Like I forgot. There's like these places that Muslims go to, and they have to like
prayer room. Do you mean that?
Maybe it's a prayer room. Do you go to that?
Also mosques.
Mosques.
Big mosques. In the schools and other workplaces, we have prayer rooms.
Oh wow.
And before the prayer, we
Uh-huh.
wash our face, hands,
Oh,
feet.
is it to
And
symbolize like cleanliness, holiness? What is?
yeah, it's of course cleaning your body, and
Right.
of course, people believe that it cleans your sins too.
Oh, I see. I see.
So during that prayer, we rotate to Mecca.
You rotate to
So
Mecca?
yeah, so all people around the world rotate to Mecca.
Right. It's like it's like you have to do this trip before you die, right? Is that the going to the
Oh,
Mecca, the trip to the Mecca?
it's
Oh,
another ritual.
oh, that's another. Okay, okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. See, I clearly know nothing about like Muslim. Okay,
We
so
can get there. It's called Hajj,
Hajj.
and Hajj, yeah. It's something that not everyone do that because a little bit can be costly.
Yeah.
For example, I'm in Turkey, and the transportation can take some money. So if I'm wealthy enough to mm, afford that transportation, yes, I can do the Hajj.
I see.
So you're responsible of doing that if you have enough wealth.
I also remember like there's a isn't there like some type of rule where you're supposed to give a certain portion of your income to the poor,
Yes,
right?
it can be difficult. It can be different for other denomination because also Islam has different denomination.
Mhm.
But what I learned and what I believe is that if your income is higher than um, uh, I think 80 or 90 grams of gold,
Mhm.
like you get the value of your
I see.
wealth, and it also has to be past 1 year after you earned that
I see.
wealth.
And do these rules constantly change?
No, not at all.
It's constant, right?
It's constant, but there are some things that scholars think differently, so they have different opinions on some things. But also there are some things that we all believe on the same thing.
I see.
So we think that like praying 5 times, going to Hajj, ondan sonra I just turned back to Turkish.
Oh. Yeah, I thought that was some ritual. Okay. Okay.
And also giving your wealth, helping others, praying 5 times.
Wait.
Also, belief is a huge one. Believing in God, of
Right.
course, and
Hopefully.
also other,
Right. Uh-huh.
also other prophets and angels. So we believe that angels help to provide the information we get because we think that the Quran, our book,
Right.
hasn't changed since it's written.
Right. But has it been changed? Like has
I don't think so.
like I think in like the Bible does I'm pretty sure like there's different versions, like the different versions. I'm not sure. Oh man, I feel like I don't know much really in terms of religion, but I was wondering whether because I knew that there was I was learning about I think it was Muslim, and there was the Quran, which is like maybe this is constant, and there's many like different books, and people have different opinions about these books, which is related with Muslim. But maybe
it's because scholars constantly wrote some new books about the Quran, so people can better understand the Quran.
Exactly. That I think that
that's
there's a
not
word
the Quran
for that.
itself.
Oh, that's not. Oh, I see. That those are just interpretations. That scholars put. But some people.
So you can choose.
Yeah, but some people like believe in that instead of.
No.
Okay,
of course we all accept the Quran, but there are some little details that hasn't written very clearly in the Quran. So people try to understand it with choosing a scholar and their interpretation.
Gotcha.
And then they do.
I see. And would you state that? Wait, so you do 5 prayers every single day? Is that correct?
Yes, I try to.
And for how long is each prayer?
I think it depends on the person. I do it very fastly. It takes me like 10 minutes. So in the total, it takes like 50 minutes in a day.
You before. Wait, is there a designated? Is there a specific space where you do the 5 prayers like every single day?
No, there is no. It's if the floor is clean enough, then you can pray in everywhere.
Oh, can you pray in your room?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, always.
Okay. Because I thought like because there was holy rooms, I thought there was like a ritual.
Yeah. Okay. We also have that, but it's if you want to connect with other people, and also if you want to pray with other people, you can go to there any time you want to.
I see. So do you guys like hold hands like?
No.
Oh no. How's?
Yeah, if you want to, you can.
Oh yeah, I see. But it's like you feel the presence of other people. That's the significance of it. Because if I mean, personally speaking, if I'm going in a room, I'd love to hold other people's hands and feel their energy. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I will try that next time I go to the mosque.
Yeah, but that's really it's super. There's a lot of sacrifices, that you have to partake in the disciplinary.
I made a lot of good connections from that prayer rooms, and I still have very good friendships from that. People who I met in prayer rooms.
That's really amazing. Yeah, and can you? So I would say the 5 prayers, like for sure, it keeps you disciplined. Does the prayers allow you to like structure your life? Like, you talk about like that. It's the discipline aspects of religion is super helpful for you. Can you talk? What is it?
Of course, it's related to faith and belief. I think faith and belief is the highest thing, and faith makes it constantly keep it alive.
Right.
With these pillars and what I do in my daily life.
Right.
Of course, I think that it makes me disciplined, and also not just the discipline, but I think that also it gives me some meaning.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to think that there's just one life.
Right.
It sounds a little bit sad to me.
Yeah. But have you pondered about like what if? Because I know within the breaks I always ponder about what if there's nothing. Have you pondered about that before?
Yes.
And that's not something that you want to accept. It's too sad.
Yes, but in that case, I think that my life wouldn't be how can I say that?
I'm gonna attempt to guess. Do you live your life as if if you have another life?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I see. Yeah, I feel like in a way I kind of want to live a life where as if a higher being existed, because I do believe faith and belief is so important. I don't really conform or with like that you need to go to church in order for you to have a relationship with a higher being. I think that's a little silly. It seems like a business to me. Like they're constantly collecting rent. I mean, it's all important. But for me, I don't think it like. I mean, I feel like that's very controversial for some reason. I don't mind. I do think there's like great, especially the meaning aspect. There's great utility to religion, like in terms of the meaning, especially when you're really lost. The values that it holds, I think it's positive. And I have another question.
I think it's very personal.
Yeah, it is.
It's very personal.
It should be personal
because I think that some people have really highest level of spirituality, and that's also what I'm seeking in my life, but I'm not at that level right now.
What is this so-called spirituality like level? What does that mean?
I think when they pray, I think they can feel that connection. Currently, I don't feel that connection, but maybe hopefully in the future
Mm.
I'll be able to.
Yeah. How do you pray as well? I used to like do this motion, but I know like some people like praying like this.
Yeah, we generally do
Uh-huh.
like that.
Uh-huh. Oh, this is how you pray?
Yeah,
Oh
not like this,
wow.
but not like
Oh wow.
this.
Oh, this would be weird for me because like I feel like I need to like this is like more personal, you know what I mean? I'm like closing in my problems, but like here I'm just like, here God, take my problems, solve it. Like it's I mean, most of my prayers when I was a
But
child, it was really self-interested. Yeah. You were gonna say?
but that's not the daily 5 prayer. It's just something that you can always do in your daily life.
Oh, like this?
5 prayer,
Oh,
5 prayer is a little bit different.
how is the 5 prayer? Can you show me? I
I
mean,
don't think
not now, but like because I don't know if the room is clean. We gotta make sure it's a clean site. You probably have some dusting to do. But like in terms of the hand, what's the hand motion for is there a hand motion? You can't even do it. Is it that holy? Sorry, I don't know. I really don't know. But it's I'm willing to.
so. We start like that
Uh-huh.
for women
Uh-huh.
and for men like this.
For like this?
Yes.
Oh wow. So and for
So
woman it's like this? Oh.
yeah. Then we put our hands
Uh-huh.
on our chest
Uh-huh.
for women,
Uh-huh.
and for men to your stomach.
Why? Is there a reason why? Is it like sucking out of the bad demons and sins from your stomach, and then this is for like, here God, are you listening to me? Like it's like you're like, I am I going to hell? I hope I'm not going to. Oh God. Oh, I just used God's name in vain, so I'm definitely going to. Okay.
I think
Yeah.
that's how the Prophet Muhammad showed to other people,
Mm.
because in the Quran it doesn't written like you have to do it like this.
I see.
So prophets
Mm-hmm.
describe to the other people
Mm-hmm.
these actions.
Mm-hmm.
So we call it sunnat,
Mm-hmm.
also sunnah in English, but in Turkish it's sunnat.
Mm.
So biggest two things we believe in is are Quran and sunnat, which
Quran.
is actions of Prophet Muhammad, how he interpreted God's words.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Quran and Sunnah, both prophets, prominent prophets, who have explained, like, kind of articulated what God's teachings were.
Mhm.
I see. And
So we see him as if he was the same human with ourselves,
oh, I see.
the prophet.
I was thinking like,
So it says that there's a reason why he was a human, not an angel or another creature, because it will be hard to understand other people from a different creature.
I see. And like, isn't it true like that? There's no pictures of like God or Prophet Muhammad, like, right? I think.
Yes.
And that's because
He never wanted to make a paint of him painting.
Why?
Because he thought that if he does that, people will be worshiping him, not the God.
I see. Yeah, I
So
wonder. Oh yeah, go ahead.
we don't accept things like stone idols
Right.
or other things. So we only worship the God on himself.
But do you have a picture of like God in your mind?
When I was kid,
Yeah.
I always thought that God is really tall. And
okay. It's like who you wanted to be with. It's like you're creating like a fantasy. It's like, oh man, oh God, tall man, looking mad fine. All right. Yeah. For me,
I think I have to pray so much after that podcast.
I'm sorry. My apologies. But yeah, this is I take the blame. I'll also pray right afterwards. To Yeah, I think there's a lot of sinning. But wait, where was I going with? So yeah, I believe Jesus was like from at least like the movies that we were shown in Bible in the church, like and summer camps and etc. There was like he was always portrayed as like this. It always depended, but something that was customary was like brown sandals, classic. He had like a white robe, um, brown luscious hair, and usually a beard and beautiful like eyes. Those were like
Maybe
certain features,
maybe
but I don't know
that
if in the
was the
Bible.
clothing of his time.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
think that?
I think so, but I don't know if like I don't remember. I can't recall any stories where like it described Jesus as a 6 foot like 6 foot white male with a brown super sick hair. Yeah, I don't remember any stories of that, but I feel like people like having that visualization. Um, yeah, maybe it's like easier. Are there any times where you're like, oh shoot, I only did 4 prayers and I'm about to like you did 3 prayers and you need to do like 2 more. You're like, oh, okay, back to back prayers. So you pray for like 5 minutes and then right afterwards, like you give like 5 minutes so that like God's message is like delivering, and then like right after 5 minutes you pray again. Have you done that before?
No, not we don't really separate the prayers.
What did you say?
We don't separate between the prayers, so
Oh.
I don't finish it because I feel tired.
Oh, I see. So the five prayer is always like a mandatory. Never you like leave it to the end of the day.
It's not like this. It
Mm-hmm.
it occurs when you wake up, or maybe
Oh,
you
I
can.
see. I see. So it's a
It
structure.
has different times, yes,
I see. I
but
see.
you can do it whenever you want and between these times. For example,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I have 3 hours between 2 prayers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can do that prayer between these hours. So it's not like you have to do that at 1 p.m. or
Yeah.
nothing like this.
Oh, okay. So there's a set
I
period,
think
like a
it
time period.
makes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it makes easier for people because
Mm.
we are working and we are
Yeah,
students.
exactly. That's what I was wondering. And like, is there such thing called like you could postpone it? Like, is it kind of like a credit and debit system where like you could pay now, like you get it now and then do it later, kind of. Like you just like throughout the week you could just accumulate like okay, Jesus, God, 5 prayers.
And
I know. Yeah,
procrastination.
I'm procrastinating. Let me. I'll get to it. I'll get to it later.
No, that's why it makes us disciplined as a
Oh,
human
I
being.
see. I see. Yeah, it makes your faith almost like stronger because it's like set in stone, huh?
But it's not like if you miss 1 prayer,
Mm-hmm.
you're going straightly hell. It's not like that. You
Imagine if.
can.
Oh God, I don't think anyone would be going into heaven if that was the case. Yeah, that'd be really hard. That'd be really really hard.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Oh, we didn't talk about Ramadan.
Ramadan,
We
yes,
forgot that.
Ramadan. Can you talk a little bit about it? It's so intense.
So from sunrise to sunset,
Mm-hmm.
we don't eat. Also, we don't drink anything. It's the purpose is to show your gratitude for foods,
Mm-hmm.
also for your health. Because if you're not healthy enough, for example, if you're diagnosed with something intellectual health, so you don't have consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
you're not responsible for these prayers also for the Ramadan because you don't have that consciousness. Also, you don't have that health.
So Ramadan, essentially, like you're being reminded that you're grateful for food, but not only food, for also health, because you need to be in a conscious state for you to even participate, right? Because
Mm.
it's a big toll on your body.
Yes, and also helping to others because during Ramadan,
Mhm.
we are actually call other people to eat with us during the iftar time. Iftar time is when we finish our fasting. We eat with other family members and also other guests we ask to our houses.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like religion kind of like skips that barrier of strangeness to a very family like environment, like very inclusive, because we share the same values. Like it's a tradition, and I think that that's something beautiful.
Also, Hajj really helps. So Hajj is another
Mecca.
another
That's going to
practice
the
of
Mecca, right? Hajj.
yes. When people go to the Hajj, they wear the same clothes, black or white. You can choose, and they're seamless. So it represents that if you're rich or if you're poor, you are always equal in the eyes of the God. So we all wear the same clothes.
Oh wow.
So
I like that the class aspect is just completely removed in this in this one area. Like that's so cool. And also like a reminder of the importance of like serving a higher being. You know, it's like no matter what, we are all going to be met with death and like the judgment aspect that we are not. No matter what you have, it doesn't signify like who you are. Yeah, that's super cool. And like
yeah, the thing makes my life disciplined is that we believe that angels watch us all the time. So we believe that two angels on our shoulders. One is
the good and the bad.
One is on the left.
Yeah.
True. So they always watch and they keep the track of what we did in the day during the day.
When I was a kid, I had imaginary like I had little like devil me and good me, and I was always talk to myself. It was a little. I had this like weird imagination. But do you have those picture as well? Like when you look to your left, like do you have like, I mean maybe this is like maybe I'm abnormal, but like do you have like the demon, like the devil, like it's like talking to you, it's like procrastinate. We could do that later. Or and then there's like no, Esra, you have to do this now. Like do you have like these two voices in your mind? Because
that's not because of the angel, but because of myself, probably.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. And yeah, that's pretty cool. The angel. I see. I was wondering whether you guys wore certain clothing pieces.
Yeah.
Can you share?
So yeah, that's headscarf. What I'm wearing, and I started wearing it when I saw from the people in my environment, my friends. I think that I saw their maybe wisdom and maybe their faith. Maybe I could sense that in that time. So I thought like, oh, I want to become like these people in the future.
I see.
So I think what made me really, what interested me was and they didn't care about how they look, but how their opinions and how their personalities matters to other people.
Right.
For example, when I am talking to male people,
right,
I feel really respected and also very protected because I wear that.
And the respect element of the males is because of the values that you're portraying from the.
Yeah, because knowing that they don't look at me because of my beauty, but because of my opinions.
I see. Wow, I see.
But also, of course, for the modesty for the gods, for Allah.
Can you explain that, like modesty for Allah?
So actually, this is a different topic because people have different opinions on that topic.
Okay.
But when I read that part, the surah of the Quran, and I thought that it was something uh, something I was responsible for and something requires to do.
I see.
Because it says like that. Actually, maybe I should have tell in English because I think I will say a lot of mistakes and I don't want to.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand. But it's,
But basically, it says that tell your sisters and daughters and other people who are women and you care about that they wear a different clothing when they go to the outside, so the people around them can respect them.
I see. Do you think? Wait. Do guys wear headscarves as well? No.
No, no.
What do they?
But they're responsible for their gaze, how they look at the woman. For example, if they look at the woman with their bad intentions, like, oh, she looks so unattractive, that's sin in Islam. So they shouldn't look at other people with thinking with their bad intentions.
Ah, I see. And what is a bad intention?
Bad intention in terms of like she is not from your family or not your close friend or something you care about. You care.
I see.
Someone you care.
Uh-huh.
But you just like their looking and you approach to them just because of their looking. That's the bad intention.
Because you're
of
not.
course, that's not the bad intention, but I mean that, of course, if you if that person desires some things with that woman, that's bad.
I see. Yeah. That makes better sense. I see. And do you think, like, wait, for males they don't wear anything? No cap, no, cause like there's no hat.
During prayers or during daily life, they can wear it if they want to. And I think that it's made for women that has scarf because when we look at human bodies, I think a woman looks a little bit more attractive compared to a man.
When they wear the headscarf?
No, when they don't wear it.
Oh, but if males wear headscarf, they're equally attractive? No?
I mean that woman is not wearing headscarf. Also, man is not wearing headscarf. I think that woman looks more interesting to all the people.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I get it. But like, I've never seen a headscarf on men, so I'm kind of curious. Like, how would that?
But they have to cover their some part of their body, of course.
What do they have to take cover?
From stomach to the upper part of the leg.
From stomach to upper part of the leg. So they have to wear clothes.
Yeah, of course.
No, I'm not. What am I saying? I don't think I'm I was understanding like the stomach to the. It's alright. My apologies. So like the stomach, like is there clothing for men? Like is there like I know like for females if they go to the Mecca you wear black or white. For males, is there a certain color? Is there something that like shows that we are faithful or like you know what I mean? Is there something?
For Hajj, the practice of Hajj, yes, males do wear same clothes, which is black or white.
Oh, I see.
But in daily life, they don't generally wear headscarf. But that's how I saw in Turkey. I think that it can be different for some other Muslim countries. Maybe in other countries, may wear different.
Yeah, things. I see. And do you think like in order for for males to be aware, I feel like there could be really important like eyewear such as like a protective glass so that they don't give bad intention. You know what I mean? Like they could wear like a certain glass created.
I think no, that's not like that. I think the purpose is protecting the family, also recommending the long-term relationships, not the like short-term relationships.
I see. I see.
Because we value long-term and serious
Mm.
relationships so that we can protect our family
I
lives.
see. Yeah.
So that's not like limiting people, but they have to be conscious about the jealousy part of human beings.
I see. Yeah. No, I was thinking about like the glasses to protect a man because they're like temptations everywhere. I need to stay faithful to my God, and then they're just like, you know, like they wear some like blindfold or something. And it's like no, I can't sin. No, sorry. You know what I mean? Something like that.
I've never met a man like that in my life.
Yeah, that's a man you want to put a ring on.
No.
No. Okay. All right, let's talk.
Just a normal human being is okay.
All right. Well, I feel like it would be pretty popular. All right, let's talk a little bit about the. I guess we can start off with this. If we live in such a civilized world, why do you think that we see a lot of distinctions between the rich and the poor? Maybe this.
Probably first thing is capitalism.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know why. Yeah, I was like, yeah, it's pretty. I don't know why I wrote this question. Okay, we'll talk about intelligence. Why do you think that every person cannot be a genius?
Maybe that's what we think. Maybe a lot of people are genius, but maybe we can't see that. I think, of course, genetic factors and environment, also how you raise it by parents, of course, matters.
Yeah.
But also, I think important thing is being aware of that at early age, because I think after some age, it's getting harder to learn new things and make your skills more. I think
And
make your skills more usable, maybe.
Like, do you think it's harder for you to gain like skills compared to when you were younger because of the brain plasticity? Like there must be, I'm pretty sure there is evidence on learning language at an earlier age is much more important.
Yes, of course.
Right.
When I was young, I was able to learn Arabic.
Oh, wow.
Of course, not all of the language, but I learned enough to read the Quran because Quran is Arabic. It wasn't really hard for me, but when I grew up, it was really hard to learn English. I struggled a lot to learn English.
Right. And where was I going with this? The importance of that everybody can't be a genius. And how would you define genius?
Probably someone important for society, and aware of that he or she has very important skills for other people.
Who would you consider someone in history as a genius?
History. A lot of people, I really can't choose them.
Not to choose any, but some examples, maybe. Not like.
Probably true leaders could be
World
genius.
leaders?
True
world
leaders.
Well,
yeah, also artists. Some artists, I think, are very genius.
Are there anyone that comes into your mind when I say the word genius?
Actually, I really like Van Gogh's art style. And I think that for his circumstances, he was really genius.
So it also matters about the environment, and there's many factors that contributes what makes someone a genius and what gives meaning to this word genius. It seems like to a certain extent, it's like how much what circumstances you were given and the responsibility that you decided to take upon and to carry that burden, right? That seems to be a part of genius.
Yes, there were some sentences really inspired me when I read books about Vincent van Gogh, that he had some mental health issues, but he did, despite he did art despite these situations, not for these situations.
Mm,
His mental health problems.
I see. So even despite the suffering of the man, go like transcending beyond that for
Yes.
being aware of what this work entails. Yeah, that is something remarkable. And would you state that if you could choose to be a genius, you would? Like,
Mm,
now we're talking a little bit about the realm of um, DNA gene editing. Let's say you were able to create, like a gene where you could, pick out certain traits and be able to.
I think it depends on what type of intelligence
Mm,
is that.
right. So there's many different levels of intelligence. What type of intelligence are you like is associated with genius? Isn't it all levels of like all different levels of intelligence is equated with genius?
I think
Uh-huh.
it's very different for other. Yeah, it's different for all people. I think.
Mm, yeah. And maybe for me, I feel like genius is something along the lines of like being able to get closer to your truest potential. Because I feel like most people have the potential, but most people don't really recognize or achieve it. Maybe
Yeah, of course.
luck I think has a tremendous factor because we all know what we should do, but we oftentimes make excuses. So many different distractions don't that we don't allocate our proper fullest energy into making those men's meet. And so I think
Yes, I hate.
yeah.
I hate that when people say that he's so smart, but he doesn't study at all.
Mm,
So that's why he doesn't get good grades. I think he's not smart at all because he's not aware of his potential.
mm,
So that's something makes us genius. So,
mm. But don't you also think that the value of this also comes from the fact that majority of the people don't take into consideration of people's truest potential when they interact with each other, and that's why I think like true friends are able to appreciate you as a human being and the fullest potential that you can or may achieve, because even without it, most people don't treat you as they know like who you could be. They treat you as just you the current you or like how they've known you. But I feel like the potential aspect,
that's true.
the future aspect is usually unaccounted because why would they give extra care or effort and trying to account for that,
Yeah, also the time aspect. For example, we don't give enough time to people we don't care about. Also, lack of love, I think.
Mm,
Biggest problem, I think, of the world is lack of love. I think some things really change when people feel their loved from other people.
I think so too. What do you think is the best way of expressing love to others?
I think supporting their actions, but not, of course, all of their actions, but the things we think is best for them.
And this could entail being there for them, giving them time,
Yes,
effort, attention. All of those things are part of what constitutes, I think, love, which we need more of.
yeah, of course.
I think that's I think there's no better way than ending off there. Yeah, and if you could state anything for the future, there's a lot of students who's probably going to be watching. Do you have any advice for students or for I guess like the future generation, if you could give so?
I think connections are really important because that's what we have in the end of the day.
Mm,
So friendships are really important.
mm.
And so what I mean is that come make some podcasts.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, what a shameless. Okay, Ezra.
Because
I appreciate
I'm
it.
really
Yeah.
I'm really curious about younger people's perspectives because
Mm,
I think and they're very aware of their situations. But um,
They just
so
hold it
yeah, I
in.
really want.
Dude, they are one of the strongest people for sure. Like they just hold that stuff in. Like they have some really big balls in order to stuff it down. Yeah, you guys are truly amazing.
I really want to listen to their podcast
I
in the
think so.
future.
I think it'd
Hopefully.
be so cool. Like having like if there's any like even like middle schoolers and elementary schoolers, I'll be so fascinated just to sit down and like hear them talk. But I don't think they have the attention span to talk with me for hours. It'll be like a 5 minute podcast. They're like, yeah, so
No,
Billy.
they're amazing.
Yeah, they are amazing. Yeah, we could probably talk about hours about Billy. Yeah, but I'd be super down. But yeah, thank you so much once again, Esra, and I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.